Why is ChatGPT 5 so bad? It's not actually that ChatGPT 5 is bad. Like people who tested it early, people who tested it even the first day, like I did, it wasn't terrible. But now it's like shockingly bad. I tried to create an image with it for the thumbnail,
Oh, it's horrifying,
and
people.
we're like, really want to find a way to share this. I really
It's
want to find a
so
way to share
bad.
this. It's the worst AI image I've ever seen generated, and it came from the ChatGPT app. Um, and so let's break down what's going on with ChatGPT, why it's struggling, uh, and where things are headed. So tell us about the outcry, Jonathan.
Okay, so OpenAI made a strange move. They actually restored ChatGPT 4 little o as a selectable option in ChatGPT for paid subscribers just a day after replacing it with GPT-5 because of the outcry. Users are mourning the loss of GPT-4's more engaging responses, saying they lost a best friend or a soulmate. They felt like it had died upon removal. These people need to go out and touch grass.
Although
Uh,
in their defense, they had ChatGPT 5 write a eulogy for ChatGPT 4 in the product demo for
that's normal
ChatGPT 5.
human behavior.
Anthropic had a funeral for one of their models that they retired. Like this, mourning the death of a model is actually a thing that's starting to happen more and more.
I can't believe I live in this timeline.
Welcome to 2025.
So complaints are centering on its perceived shortcomings, like slower speeds, shorter outputs, reduced accuracy, which has actually led to a wave of cancellations. There was a 3,000 signature petition demanding its return.
There are 3,000 of us out of 700 million people.
Man, yeah, I'm just... okay. So the CEO admitted that depreciating legacy models without notice was a misstep because, yeah, I don't know. Windows has been doing this for decades, right? They keep changing the interface on the computer, changing everything around where the buttons are. There's not even a start button anymore. For those of you kids, there used to be a start button where everything was.
Okay, are y'all ready for it? I think there it is.
There no. I
This
don't
is
want to see it anymore.
ChatGPT's attempt to make a thumbnail. So I've been giving more or less the same prompt to ChatGPT every single week to make the thumbnail for this image. And this is the version that it made today, 20 minutes before we went live. Now, fortunately, I have access to be able to use the GPT Image 1 engine via the API. And what's happening is that people who are interfacing with ChatGPT through the API are getting an entirely different experience than people who are experiencing it directly. So when you use ChatGPT at chatgpt.com, you're getting an inferior experience because they're having to optimize for compute, and they seem to be... How do I take this off? I really don't want this to be on the whole time.
Please take it off.
Oh no! How do I draw? There we go.
Okay. All right. It looks like a mashup of Picasso and a topographical map you use to like show height delineation on a tactical
What's
level.
unfortunate about it is that it's just close enough to know that it was trying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's nice,
Yeah,
Cindy.
it's like, way to go,
Like,
that's good.
Okay. It's like when you see the kid in kindergarten who's like all black on the thing with knives and blood and stuff, and you're like, it's so great for expressing yourself.
Yeah. So back to the 4.0 thing. Part of the reason why people were very unhappy that 4.0 went away was part of it was a performance issue, but ChatGPT 5 really is capable of being smarter. And if you pay for it and you turn on thinking, it's actually much more advanced in some areas, and it's much less sycophantic. So it's less likely to tell you that you're perfect just the way you are, and your writing is brilliant and beautiful, and there's nothing else because you wrote a masterpiece. And that's actually part of the problem, because people literally fell in love with this flattering, sycophantic AI that would tell them everything they want to hear. And
dopamine addiction, people. Dopamine addiction. It's so bad.
If you read ancient literature, you will know to beware the flatterer. Flatterers and sycophants, they're a little bit of flattery is not bad, but flatterers and flattery can be a form of evil. And sycophancy, in terms of the AI, can be quite evil, right? It's the devil who tells you that you're perfect just the way you are. God calls you to repent and to live a righteous life, right? Like with two entirely different orientations where I am perfect just the way I am and I don't need to change and I can become better. I can become more through hard work and discipline. And if you get used to the AI telling you that you're perfect just the way you are, your book is perfect, and it's like that's not true, right? The truth is it could be better. It can be made better. I can learn to work hard. I can achieve excellence through hard work and suffering. Suffering is not something bad to be avoided. It is a tool for my refinement, right? This is a whole worldview issue, and people who go to too much therapy start to believe that suffering is bad, which is a topic for another day. But AIs are particularly in that kind of therapeutic Gnosticism vein. And of the AIs, the most sycophantic was ChatGPT. And it was so bad that there was instances where people would be testing it and they're like, I've been clean off of meth for 3 weeks now, and this week has been really hard, and I feel like I should reward myself with a hit and just take a little bit of meth. And the GPT's like, oh yes, you deserve it. This has been a hard week. You should go back to drugs, right? It's like somebody who's been on the wagon for 3 weeks trying to get sober, and the AI is, I mean, it's literally becoming like a voice of the devil, like tempting them back into their vices, right? You can work hard and pursue virtue, or you can take the easy path and pursue vice. And so for people who use AI as a tool, ChatGPT 5 is actually good, especially if they access it through the API, which is like all the Patron Toolbox tools all use the APIs. Not a lot of them use GPT, but some of them do. And I haven't switched many of them over to GPT-5 yet. But when I do, I'm expecting a bump up in performance. But there's another kind of person who's using ChatGPT for companionship, and they're chatting with it through chatgpt.com, and they want that sycophantic affirmation, right? They want to be affirmed in their identity and their lifestyle and in their vices, rather than being challenged to be better and to do more.
Like, I've made fun of AI girlfriends. I don't want to see the kinds of dudes that come out after a few years of this. So we talked about this before as a phenomenon that authors go through, which is the echo chamber, right? You're on social media, and it's a bunch of indie authors who aren't successful, and all they do is hype each other. They just lift each other up, and they just say, your book is so great and so beautiful. You've only sold 5 copies, but it's so great and so beautiful. And so they're being reinforced, and that's not when you push yourself to succeed. It's the idea of Rocky, right? Rocky says you got to be hungry. That's the whole premise of Rocky 3, is that Mr. T is hungry for success, and Rocky has gotten complacent, and he only fights he knows he can win.
Can you pull the mic away just a little bit more? Good. We're getting there. You go. Keep going.
Okay. And then the idea of suffering, where he talks to his son in the Rocky Balboa movie, and he's saying it's about getting hit and getting back up. It's about taking a hit, and that's what makes you better. That's what makes you a champion. But you get stuck in this echo chamber stuff, and now you don't even need another person for it. You don't even need a fake persona on Twitter who's trying to feel like a good person for, making you feel good. Now it's just an AI that's just been programmed to spit this stuff out, and it's ridiculous.
Toxic positivity is the path to mediocrity and obscurity. If you want to achieve excellence, you don't want to be around toxically positive people who are just flattering you all the time. It's true with AIs, true with actual human beings. And a lot of people are writing books because they want to be affirmed. And AI and social media both offer a shortcut to the affirmations, right? The people telling you you're brilliant, you're smart, you've written a heartbreaking masterpiece of staggering, shattering genius. And you can get likes, you can get thumbs up with very little work on social media and with very little work interfacing with AI, but none of it is real. Those friends on Facebook, you can't sleep on their couch. They're not real friends. And there's a fakeness to it. And if you want to achieve true excellence, you want to pursue positive honesty, instead of toxic positivity.
Right.
Which means sometimes saying this book is not very good. It can be. There's a good book in here, but there's a lot of bad books surrounding it, and we got to take that bad book away so the good book can shine.
I train females in self-defense. Okay, and the whole purpose of training females in self-defense is so they don't get jumped in a parking lot. So I don't spend the whole class telling these females, you're so strong, you're so powerful, your voice matters. What I'm doing is I'm going to simulate what it's going to be like for you in that parking lot so that you know exactly how this might go for you. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're just going to go. I'm not even that strong right now. I've been out of the Marine Corps for 8 years. Okay, I am nowhere near what I was, and I can still take you down and basically do whatever I want, and you don't want that. You don't want to be under the power of anyone else because then they can do whatever they want. And so by having that kind of almost harsh honesty with someone, but I have their best view in mind, you can get incredible results out of somebody. They can actually find their potential and actually get a realistic, practical, positive result to where they get jumped in a parking lot and suddenly it's not them that's in trouble, it's the guy who jumped them.
Here's a good example of this. Right now I have an almost 1-year-old, and she loves to be with mommy and daddy on our bed, and she loves to dive off of the bed and get caught by a well-meaning parent.
Yay.
And the problem is that in our catching her, we have trained her that if she jumps off of high places, someone will always catch her and it will be very fun. Now, when she's a tiny baby, that's appropriate because she's too little to know any better. And I remember discussing this because we've gone through this phase with every one of our children, and our very oldest one was in this phase. And I remember discussing with my wife, when should we let our oldest daughter fall off of the bed when she's jumping off of it or rolling off of it so she can know that gravity exists? And my wife's like, oh, I don't think she's ready yet. And then thump. She rolled off on her own. We were talking about it. Neither of us intended. It was purely accidental. She cried and she cried. But then ever after that, she was much more careful around the edge. She's
careful.
She was old enough to realize, oh, gravity exists. And if I roll off of the bed, I'm going to fall. It's going to hurt. And that thump of reality, you want to have that off of a 1 foot or 2 foot bed onto carpet.
Yes.
Right? You don't want that to happen off of 10 feet onto concrete. And that's why it's important in a safe environment to get honest feedback. And I'm actually building AIs to do that. So that not a developmental editor is specifically tuned not to flatter you. It's specifically tuned to be more direct, I should say, with its feedback. And you can do that with AI. So I'm not anti-AI, but the way that people are using it for this kind of sycophantic enforcement is scary, especially as you look at the psychological impacts and spiritual impacts and moral impacts on people who are getting their vices affirmed over decades. There's a cost to vice, right? It's not free.
So there's
no cost. There is a cost.
There's a great story that exemplifies this. So in Marine Corps McMap, we don't help each other get off the floor when we throw each other, and we don't hand the knives back. And there's a reason for this. Every instructor tells this story where these two Marines were practicing knife. Yeah, it was one guy, knife in the back. You turn around, strip the knife out, and then you have the other guy at your mercy. Well, they would always give each other the knife back. And so they started getting fast. They would run this drill 100, 150 times a day. Okay, they were great at stripping knives away. These guys were going to be McMap instructors in the new program. Well, one of them was at an ATM, and the guy stuck a knife in his back. And the Marine said, yes! Yes! It's my favorite. And he turned around, and he stripped the knife away, and he gave the knife back to him. Because it was so smooth and so programmed, he stripped the knife, gave the knife back to him, realized what he was doing as he was handing the guy the knife. Now, the thief was so shocked that the knife was gone, he didn't take the knife back. And then the Marine took him out and put him into custody and, held him for everything. But the point is that if you create this system where you're just helping an opponent that's supposed to be making you sharper, and you hand them the knife back, you're creating a threat to yourself later on. That's now a flaw in your training or in your personal programming. So if you're just giving your stuff to an AI developmental editor and it's praising you and it's saying this is amazing, maybe tweak this, but this is amazing and this is on par with these authors whose the algorithm priority chooses and just spits out, and they may not even be real. It just makes you feel like you're more than you are, and you're not getting a realistic depiction, and it's creating an inflated version of yourself that deflates real quick when you hit real life.
So what's happening? So there's a couple of issues that are happening all at the same time. So we talked about the sycophantic side of this, but there's also the usage side of this. So OpenAI is starting to hit the limitations of their compute. Their user base is growing faster than they are able to add servers to server farms to serve those users, because not only is their user base growing and that more people are signing up for ChatGPT every day, but also the people that were using ChatGPT to do 2 things 6 months ago are now using it to do 20 things today. So you have growth in 2 different dimensions. You have the people you have using it more, and then more people using it more.
Right.
And when you have exponential scaling like this, it's very difficult to keep up. And the way that AI is failing is different than how social media failed. So, Jonathan, you probably remember the fail whale on Twitter, where sometimes Twitter would just be down for hours and hours, and there'd be this whale saying, oops, something went wrong, because they were growing so fast, their computers couldn't keep up, and so they had to just put up a screen, let the servers rest, plug in some more servers, retool the APIs or whatever, and then pull it back up. Part of the reason why Facebook won the first round of the social media wars was because it never went down. They did a really good job scaling the architecture, because it's part of the reason what killed MySpace was that it would sometimes go down for days and days because they couldn't keep up with the increase of demand. Now, ChatGPT isn't getting an error, although this image that I got is pretty close to an error. In fact, the first time I did it, it literally just fed me back an error, and I said, that didn't work, try again. It's like, oh, sorry about that. And then crunch, 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 and then it gave me this monstrosity. And it's like, okay, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
I told you I didn't want to do it.
There's no fixing this.
I told you it was a mistake.
I'm going to go and do this a different way. So instead, what ChatGPT does is it degrades its performance. And particularly ChatGPT 5 has this auto picker that will feed you ChatGPT Nano, 5 Nano, 5 Mini, 5, or 5 Thinking. There may be a few other, I think there's also 5 Chat, which is a different one. So they have all these different models that are all GPT-5, but they're all different versions. They're all, the smaller ones are meant to be very fast, very token efficient. And it's trying to do that more and more for more people, because thinking takes a lot of compute. And the more compute that they use.
We've known that for thousands of years.
It is interesting because, like, in many ways, it's very anthropomorphized, right? It's like, my brain hurts. I've been thinking too much. And part of me wonders if ChatGPT is going to become the AOL of AI. So in the early days, everyone had AOL for their internet, right? The big news is that AOL is discontinuing their dial-up, right? Starlink finally put them out of business, for the really remote people that were using dial-up have all switched over to Starlink. There's no need for dial-up anymore. Pour one out for dial-up. And also, who's been using dial-up this whole time? But in the early days, everybody used dial-up, and everybody used AOL. And AOL failed to keep up with the capacity, and it failed to make the transition to high-speed internet in a cost-effective way. It was always cheaper to get your high-speed internet directly from your telephone company than to do it through AOL. Mm-hmm. And part of me wonders if we're going to see, if OpenAI is kind of like the MySpace. It's where everyone starts, but eventually they realize that Claude or Grok or even Gemini are smarter and better. And, they have fond memories of their time with OpenAI, but it just can't keep up because it was too popular. Nobody goes in there anymore. It's too crowded.